Hey guys, I want to talk about content and I want to show you some of the things that I've been doing for the last couple of years that have helped me maximize my time in the studio and making content, because we all know as tattoo artists, it is incredibly hard to make sure that we keep up with our social media game. If I'm shooting content during my day and let's say I've got a tattoo client in my chair and I'm trying to figure out what the next shot is. I'm looking at my space and I'm looking at my person and I'm looking at my tattoo and I'm looking at my subject matter, but I'm trying to figure out how to connect all those things together. What I need to think of is I need to think of a story. That story is going to tell an end and a beginning and all the steps that lead up into that. That is what makes content more successful. So one of the first things that I do when I'm considering making content is I try to make sure that I consider 7 key factors whenever I'm making any piece of content, just so I make sure that I'm not wasting my time, I'm not wasting anybody else's time, but more importantly, that I'm getting the most bang for my buck. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about your subject and your platform. Those are the first 2 critical factors that you need to pay attention to when you're making content. What platform is that social content piece going on? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is maybe it's TikTok? Because that's going to change the framing and that's going to change how you're telling the story about that piece of content or that subject matter that you're talking about. The game changer for me as a tattoo artist was this program called Splice. Splice is an application that you pay for on a monthly basis, or you can pay for it as a yearly subscription. It's a cloud-based platform that's on your iPhone, and it allows you to go in and manually put together a video clip and drag and drop whatever you want in there. The thing that has helped me the most with using Splice is shooting short content bursts. And what I'm doing is I'm shooting content in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and upwards of 30-second intervals of something, and I put them all together and I make a minute's worth of content and sometimes upwards to 20 minutes worth of content. That way I'm able to go in and target and clip and nip and tuck and put everything together. So I've got a beautiful piece of content that transitions flawlessly. Now, one of the key reasons why I want you to kind of think about video content, just like what you see here in this mapping, is because all of these objects, they all relate to each other. They're all factors that you should take into consideration when you're making content. And more importantly, it's going to keep you on a good trajectory and a good path to get where you want to go. Outlining your tentative story or what you're going to be showing in that piece of content is just as important, because you need to go in with a little bit of a plan. And what kind of video clips do you even shoot? I like to shoot content at least in 5 to 7 different bursts for 1 minute of content. And what that means is I'm taking clips of the same thing over and over again, or different angles, and trying to show different things about this thing. Like, for instance, if I wanted to sit here and talk about these AirPods, I'd be showing inside the case. What's inside the case? How does the case shut? How does it feel? Just kind of like see this whole line. That's the content that you saw earlier on my feed. Basically what I did is I started shooting in, then what the tattoo currently is, me getting ready for the tattoo, and me actually tattooing, and the resource image. I'm breaking it down into that way so it's a little bit easier to show a true story in this type of content. Other things that are really helpful when creating successful clips for videos is picking specific imagery or really easily identifiable things. What you can also do is do close-ups and then pan out, maybe throw in some angles, shoot the thing multiple times. That way you're kind of showing a lot of different variations, but you're also giving yourself some diversity. When you have multiple clips to pick from, it makes it easier to make your content, because that creates a type of content bank. And in the name of making content, and specifically for tattoo artists, that specific content and make it useful for other videos and other pieces of content. So some of my stock images look something kind of like this. Here you see me panning over and then showing a specific product where there's a close-up of the ink bottle. Now here you see me handling a tattoo machine, and here's an up-close image of me actually pouring some ink. Another pan-out shot, and another tattoo pan. In the name of content, it's really important to have a ton of different video clips. As you saw those videos stacked together just a few minutes ago, that helps to create a really engaging reel, but also to make beautiful content. Now, when we're talking about framing, audio, color, and transitions, those are all part of the content. When you're sitting here and you're looking at your content, I want you to think of your content as a strategy. Looking at this map, it's going to help you kind of break the mold and maybe think outside the box a little bit. And I want you to consider your video content just like this. A little bit, we apply a little extra thought and some extra care and consideration, we can totally come up with some beautiful content that'll keep our social media active and engage our followers and viewers, and hopefully entice them to book some more appointments. Remember, you can always shorten the video by creating longer transitions, which help keep the content looking really nice. So your videos, you definitely want to make sure you do some editing and not just post some raw video content. Obviously, there's times when it's funny and it's in the moment and you just want to shoot something kind of ad hoc and from the hip. But if you want it to look polished and you want to look as attractive as possible to, say, your competitors or maybe even to new prospective clients, you want to make sure that everything going out and on your social is as polished and clean and pristine as possible. So being aware of your space, being aware of, the things that are sitting in that environment, and making sure that you go in and just do a little extra cleaning will make your content look so much better and more finished and more formal. Another handy tip when shooting content is making sure that you focus on your video's purpose. What is it for? What's your subject? What are you focused on? And the other objects that you've got kind of going on in the room, like, make sure you take them into consideration when you're shooting these clips. It's really helpful, and it definitely helps to keep you more organized so that your content looks like it's well thought out and it's planned appropriately. It looks great on film, and tons of people respond really well to it. Plus, it helps you sell more tattoos. Make sure you store your clips in these video folders that you can on your iPhone, or you just store them in albums so they're easier to access later on and you know where to grab them. Remember, in step 2, shoot often, shoot short, shoot multiples, and make sure you have tons of extra clips. shooting content beforehand and while you're even at the shop sometimes can be really helpful because you can rely and bounce back onto that content and pull those out of that video folder that you've got stored on your phone and create a longer video. If you need to shorten it too, you can also cut those out. Video purpose, subject, and the objects actually in the content are just as important as trying to come up with a storyline. It's a little more helpful to think about it before you start shooting. Your subject is just as critical because you need to figure out, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about it? How are you going to show that? How are you going to demonstrate that? And when you're considering what platform that you're putting it on, that's going to tell you about the framing that you're going to be using for your content. And when I'm talking about framing, I'm talking about the orientation of the phone being in landscape or portrait, and even the settings on your camera. Another helpful tip, and this is kind of just more like in the step 4 category, is saving all those clips into a folder. I cannot stand having to roll through my phone and look for hours to find those video clips that I shot back in June last year. I don't have that kind of time. I know you don't have that kind of time. Save them into a folder as you're going. That way it's easier for you to find them and you know exactly what you're looking for, because you can save it as, say, like video clips from June or video clips from that cool tiger piece that I did. Your target should always be 5 to 7 clips per each tattoo that you're doing. That's the best way to make your content. That's the best way to have as much as you need, and also give you about a minute's worth of content, especially if you're shooting for those reels. But the pro tip is, make sure that you pay attention to what platform are you putting this on. Your platform is really critical because it changes the framing in which that you're going to be shooting. Are you shooting portrait like this, or are you going to flip it over on its side and shoot a landscape? Pay attention to that, because that's going to help maximize the impact of this content and where you can put it. Now, one last thing, and that's about uploading this content. There is a feature in Splice where you can directly upload the video from Splice to, say, Instagram. I don't necessarily recommend that because sometimes the connections can be kind of laggy and the video can get lost. I've spent tons of time writing out really nice posts that go with my Instagram Reels, but only to have the program crash. This completes our video session on YouTube for our educational snacks. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think and drop me a suggestion, hints, or what you want to see more of next in the comments. Thanks, guys.